Hey everybody, Mike Petralia alongside CLNS media colleagues Alex Barth and Evan Lazar. Good, not great here on Sunday afternoon. Patriots get the season opening win 27-20 over the Houston Texans. There is room for improvement. We'll start first with you, Evan. The run defense.
Yeah.
Still a concern?
Absolutely. So the Patriots' run defense last year, I'm dropping DVOA. I don't care what you say. The Patriots' run defense was 32nd in the league in DVOA last year. They let up 4.9 yards per carry against a very bad offensive line. The Houston Texans' offensive line is not known to be a mauling offensive line. Lamar Miller and Alfred Blue, not exactly Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders either. So not a great performance, I didn't think. A bunch of missed tackles in the run game, some bad edges as well. So it's on my radar. It was on everybody's radar last season. I thought it would be better. Bentley, Danny Shelton, some guys that they've added that are supposed to be run stuffers. Today it was not better.
All right, Alex Barth, Lawrence Guy and Malcolm Brown in the middle of the defensive line. Those are two guys that you figure are going to be part of the run defense if it's going to be answered.
I wasn't overly concerned with the run defense in this one, I'll be honest, because it seemed like the reason that Houston was able to run the ball like that is the Patriots were fine not giving up the deep pass. And Evan, you can bring all the DVOA in you want, but go back and maybe take out that Riley McCarron fumble. Are people overly concerned with the way the Texans ran the ball? No, because they were picking up run chunks late in the game, down 2 scores. I think you let your opponent run it at that point. Sure, I thought it would be a little bit better in the first half, but you also have to look at the way they contained Deshaun Watson. I think that factored into their run game as well. They contained Deshaun Watson. They took care of the run in short situations. So, again, DVOA looks at the big picture, but situationally, not one of my bigger concerns.
All right, I would say point number 2 we want to hit on in terms of improvement is certainly the offense balance. Look, I mean, Bill Belichick has always said our concern is not balance, it's scoring points. But the Patriots are going to have to really run the ball a little bit better than they did here on Sunday.
That's where the concern was for me, their inability to run the ball, and they're still missing that LeGarrette Blount role kind of guy that's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, the guy that you know is going to get you a couple of yards. Maybe Jeremy Hill is going to be that guy, but he leaves this game with an injury. Healthy, the guys who are healthy, I'm not sure if they have that guy on this roster right now. The run blocking was good, not great, but I think the backs too. They have a bunch of good backs, but they don't have a great back, and they still don't have that wrecking ball role that's become so important in today's NFL.
Evan?
I think that 2 things. One, I didn't think the run blocking was all that great. It's been something that's on my radar since the preseason. The starting offensive line hasn't really run blocked all that well throughout the entire preseason, and now obviously in week 1. And also, this team needs Sony Michel. Like, let's be honest, Rex Burkhead, Jeremy Hill, James White, obviously we don't know about Jeremy Hill going forward, but James White, Rex Burkhead, great running backs, great pass-catching running backs, dual-threat guys that can do a whole lot of everything, but they're not factor backs, right? They're not guys that really bring it in the run game on the ground. They need a guy that is going to bring it on the ground, and I think that Sony Michel is that guy. Dion Lewis was that guy last year, and they don't have Dion Lewis. He ain't walking through that door. So overall, I think that they really need a guy that is going to bring it to the opposing team and get some guys to miss some tackles, run through some arm tackles, break out some explosive runs. I don't really think that James White and Rex Burkhead are of that ilk.
3 more games without Julian Edelman. How does Tom Brady get the receivers a little bit more involved? There were 8 different receivers here on Sunday, but Tom Brady was not satisfied with the production, I'd say, on a whole, Evan.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is they need to find ways to get Chris Hogan involved, whether it's with scheme or something of the like. They need to find ways to get Chris Hogan involved, because next week they're going down to Jacksonville. He's probably going to get shadowed by either A.J. Bouye or Jalen Ramsey, a pair of first-team All-Pro corners. It's not going to be any easier down there. So I think that they're really going to have to find ways with scheme, because that's Chris Hogan for you in a nutshell. I've been trying to say this to people for a long time now. Chris Hogan is not the type of guy that is going to separate from coverage, that's really going to break away and be a guy that's going to get open on his own. You're going to have to help him with scheme. I think Dorsett's more of the guy that could probably beat some coverages on his own. So I think overall, they're going to have to find ways to get Cordell Patterson and Chris Hogan more involved in the passing game.
And I think using those running backs too, that's part of the reason they don't have any, just to go back to the last point, part of the reason they don't have any guys who are necessarily great at running the ball is there's such a focus on getting running backs who can catch the ball. There was a formation they went to a couple times today with James White and Rex Burkhead, where one would line up in the slot, the other would line up behind Brady in a single back, and then they would switch the two of them in motion. The guy behind the quarterback would go out to wide receiver and vice versa. I think formations like that, the two of them in the backfield, getting those running backs involved in the passing game, forcing those linebackers and those safeties up, that's how you get the speedsters like Cordero Patterson, like Phillip Dorsett, room over the top to separate. So I think for what the running backs aren't bringing in the running game right now, they need to be contributing more in the passing game. Again, to go back to that term of balance, at least to sort of offset the lack of the ability to run the football.
Plenty to work on for the New England Patriots as they go into week number 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. For Evan Lazar and Alex Barth, I'm Mike Petraglia inside Gillette Stadium, CLNS Media.